IT factor. So in the first episode, it was kind of an introduction, but today we got some important. We're talking about getting started.
Yeah, man. So today it's the beginning, man. So I'll start off the question like, man. So basically, man, how you got started in computer science, man? Like, what classes did you take? Like, did you try to find a job, or like, what languages did you start on once you got into school?
I got you. So to be honest, I never wanted to study computers. Like my passion was like sports and music. So I was trying to be like a sports agent. So kind of felt like that wasn't realistic. You start like Googling and so on, and I saw that computer information, computer science, you know, it pays pretty well. So I switched my major so many times, and eventually I did end up, you know, studying computer information at Georgia State University. So that's how I kind of like got started without getting started. But that's initially when my computer information path began. What about you?
I mean, so basically, I came into college as a computer science and computer engineering major, man. And basically, bro, I kind of like computers, so I would just want to learn about them. And also, like you said, I wanted the money too. Like, you made a lot of money in it. So basically, in class, I was good at like the Java, learning some of the programs and some of the terminology made a little bit of sense, but it was like basically sitting there like, oh man, I gotta figure this out.
Right.
Like, I gotta learn how to do this project. So once it started got into the coding phase, man, I was kind of like, I could do this.
So let me ask you one thing, because you said you studied computer science, right? I was computer information systems. So in my opinion, I studied like the easy version of what you was trying to do. So like my major had like very little math. You know, it wasn't even a lot of programming, to be honest. It was a lot of like business courses. It was really easy, but I felt like really unprepared, you know, for a programming or like a real IT job. Like, do you know anyone who did computer information, or do you feel like it was more beneficial studying computer science?
I can say both of them alike in some senses, but you know, computer systems kind of like help you out with like business type,
right.
You know, but versus computer science, I mean, I was learning how to code, and I did learn more about like how businesses operate and stuff like that. So like, basically, man, I think like they both are the same, but a lot of difference in them. And the difference are like basically in computer science, I learned how to straight code, like how to do different like Python, Java, all these things. But people I know that take like the other role of computer science, they really didn't follow well on that. Like they really were kind of like lost probably sometimes.
That was me. So like studying computer information is like, it was little to no programming, and I'm telling y'all now, do not run from the programming stuff. Like that's where, you know, that's how you get the job.
Right, it's gonna come back.
Right, so that's actually what led me to YouTube, because I was in class and I'm like, I'm not learning nothing. Like year 4, like I'm a senior, and I have no idea, like no computer knowledge. So, well, actually, excuse me, in my junior year I took an intro to programming course, and it only required 2 to graduate from Georgia State because it's business. Wow. So y'all, I'm telling y'all, like it made me go to YouTube and I really start teaching myself. And you know, that's kind of what got me and got you here, is like you realize it ain't too many good YouTube channels. There's some out there, but it's almost as hard or just as hard as the class. So you know, I had to go to YouTube route, but it's not like computer science like is the better major like to get into this field. Would you agree with that?
I mean, you gotta think about it. Like computer science, like I said, you know, it breaks down coding, but also like you're learning like the different factors of how it would be working in industry.
Right.
And that's what you mainly want to do versus like sitting there saying, okay, I'm a business person, what I'm supposed to do, code it or whatever. You don't never want to get to a company and be like, I ain't really know how to code. The boot camp's gonna help me, stuff like that. And like I said, with computer science, I mean, I had a better breakdown of knowing what's gonna happen. I had different projects, like different I created apps and different things of that nature. And like it really helped me out, bro. So like
that's a key point for y'all. Like if you can help it, like study computer science. Like do not take that easy route in computer informations. You know, I think when I graduated, 4 of us immediately jumped into the field. And like at the end of the day, you're not getting your degree to show everyone that you finished school. You're getting your degree to get a job.
Right.
You know, it's very important. I want y'all to
really,
you're doing this to get paid. So if you can, definitely that computer science route because you'll be better prepared.
Right.
Like even in the field, I meet people, they're always like, computer science or computer information is computer science. So, you know, moving on from that, I know you mentioned Java and Python, like for the people who just getting started, like what is that? What is Java? What is Python?
So basically, Java and Python, some of the main languages that you would learn. Java was actually the first one I learned.
Same here.
It's basically breaking down how different operations will work either in school or outside. It can teach you how to do like websites, apps, anything that you name it. Java will actually help you with that. Python, on the other hand, is more your AI, like how doors open, different things. But Python is more easier than Java.
Agreed.
And like tell them, you know, how it's easier.
Yeah, so Python, so we're going to dive more deep into languages, but basically Python is like a higher level language,
Right.
which means it's closer to like English.
Mm-hmm.
So think about like if you were writing like a 5-paragraph essay, everyone could probably do that because you've been doing it for so long. So think about a computer language, if you could write it out in English like you're writing to another human, that's a higher level language. Java is a little bit lower level.
Right.
You know, you got to know some keywords and stuff to use Java.
Methods and everything.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll get more into that as this show and these journeys goes on. But what I would like to get into now is, man, how important is it to have an internship, man? Research them, get in that lab, get your hands dirty, man, before you get out of school.
To be honest, so I had an internship. It was at the Atlanta Fire Department.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we was gonna build them like a web app, and to be honest, I didn't feel prepared to do that.
Okay.
Like literally, like our whole entire classroom, towards the end of the internship, the teacher was like, you know, what did y'all learn? How many of y'all felt prepared? And the whole class was quiet. Like we was not ready to do that. So that's like, can't stress enough, like if you are gonna study computer information, make sure you really hone in on your programming skills because yeah, we was not really prepared. But to speak a little bit on like Java or like Python or the industry, you know, I know a lot of people do the cool stuff like AI and machine learning, which is like, you know, they're related to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the industry is just like a web app.
Right.
You know, the UI, which is what you can see,
Mm-hmm.
or the front end, and then the back end, which is like the Java and interacting with the database. So, you know, most websites or most jobs are just like web applications. Would you agree with that?
Right, yeah, they're web applications. Basically, you're gonna be updating them for years to come. Like
Right.
every couple months, you gotta have to like have a fail or display. So like I would say like basically, man, my internships that I had a great time because basically I was able to learn something in them, and I was able to like basically I worked with AT&T one summer, and I was doing some database work, and basically at first I thought I wasn't gonna be learning anything. But I actually learned how like database work, how it would work for AT&T, and I was able to like help out with their applications and keep them under measure. At that time, I had to like keep different links throughout the week and make certain updates doing this data. So basically, man, I was able to take that back to school.
Was it boring?
It was boring. It was boring. I ain't gonna play with you. But to be honest with you, man, what I learned from it was I need to know these things. I knew what to learn, like, once I go to school, like, the deeper meaning of certain things, like, not just going back in the classroom and, like, oh, I got to code this out, this is the only thing. I was like, let me go and research this so that I can know how. So when I go in front of someone and interview or something like that, I will be able to say, oh, okay, I worked in the database, but I basically did blank, blank, blank.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think that's a turning point, too. Like, when you in college, early on, your first 2 years is, like, waste of time, to be honest. Like you're not really learning nothing for your major.
Right.
Some of y'all already in school already know that. But when you really know when it's time to get serious is when you find yourself, you're gonna be reading chapters that the teacher ain't even assigned.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, I know I need to know this. So that's when you feel yourself diving in, and that's when I start diving in, getting on the YouTubes, and I realized, like we keep saying, it ain't a lot of helpful, clear material on the internet.
right. Nah.
So, you know, once again, that's what we're gonna show y'all as far as what you need to know: the front end of making an app, the back end, and then I guess you can say that, like, manipulating using the database. Once you got that, you're gonna be able to get a job. You know, I'm gonna tell you where to start with that stuff.
Cool.
So, I know you spoke on your internship. What would you say is the most important, like, step one? Like, what would you say is the most important step for somebody just getting started?
Just getting started, man. Hone in on that classroom. So like, don't think of it as high school. Like you out of high school now, you in college. Like think about it as, yeah, I'm in college. Yeah, my friends are doing this, but a lot of things your friends are doing, you're not gonna be able to do. They're gonna take certain different classes, whether when you're a computer science or any STEM major, you're gonna see that you're gonna be taking your core classes. Like you're gonna be taking classes that really matter, and it's gonna bite you in the end if you didn't follow. So hone in on those computer science classes, like that intro to computer science, those programming principles, the database classes. It may be a little boring, but actually take that book and start learning those things. And like we were saying about Java and Python, get the book for yourself and learn how to not only code, but learn how to like do little apps, create a video game, something fun that you would like to do. Yeah, I promise you that will like really help you out. It'll help you want to learn more about computer science. It'll help you out in the long run.
No, I agree. I think the most important step is give yourself like an hour or two a day to do this stuff.
Right.
Like the best way to learn is to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't quit. If you feel like you ain't making no progress, that's fine. Just keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, man, because you can't like. I was thinking I had some friends, man, and even myself at times. We'll do homework. You'll knock it out. Right. After a while, you get good at programming. You're like,
right.
I already know what I'm doing. Then you have somebody like, hey, bro, can you help me with this web page, bro? You like, I don't know how to do that. But then you YouTube it. You find somebody that got a long video that you figured out like, oh, I could have done this, man. But like you figure out like, okay, I know how to like balance doing work versus working at home. And when you work at home, you'll learn more.
Right.
Man, you're gonna learn everything you need to learn for that set time period, man.
Right. So just to piggyback on that, what would you say starting is the main languages that the people should learn? Would you say Java is the most important, or do you think them starting on something they could probably see, a front-end language like maybe like JavaScript, Angular, HTML, and CSS? Like, what do you think is the easiest? I'll keep them the most interested too.
Right. I would say JavaScript. The reason why is HTML, different things like that. Those are things you see. Like those are things you can see in a computer. Like when you're going to look at something, you type in a hyperlink or anything, you're gonna see HTTP. That's basically HTML. You break it down, and you're looking like, okay, cool. You don't know what that is, but if you start with that language, basically you're gonna start seeing it more often.
Right.
More often. So.
No, I agree. Just to piggyback on that, like if you're doing Java, chances are Java could do so much. That you're not even going to be able to see, what you're programming. So you may be programming like a batch application, which is something that moves a bunch of data. That's boring. Versus if you're using Angular, which is a framework for JavaScript, like a web app. Bro, you can make like a sports app. That's something that you can see, use, you can show people it. So when you get that positive feedback, you want to keep doing it. So I definitely agree. Like starting out, just getting your feet wet, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and there's a bunch of resources that you can use to get started with that.
And I mean, basically, just saying like, if you need help with any of these things, we're here for you. So like, this is what this channel is for. Like, I know we named out some names that you don't want it, like you probably don't understand, but in the comments, anything, if you come back, you can always come back and comment on us. We'll get back with you. Even if anything sounded kind of off a little bit, we can explain it to you. We're professionals, so we can really help you out.
Yeah, so I guess just to kind of wrap it up, like get in this major expecting to do like web apps, and the web apps is a reactive website. A lot of the industry is not creating cars that could drive themselves and robots. Like there's very niche companies that do that stuff. But when you think about Walmart, Sears, or any business, Marriott, they all have websites. Really, they're web apps because they're reactive things you click on and use as a user on their website. So every company has a web app. So that's where you want to start. The front end of the website, the back end of the website. And if you can, like we said, computer science is the degree you want to study, but you can also study computer information if you're driven to get on the internet and maybe you have to teach yourself some stuff, that's more technical versus business.
Right.
So we're the IT Factor. I'm Mark.
And I'm Jeremy.